What up, y'all? It's your boy, Mr. Downtown Melo, and you're listening to the Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio, live from Orlando, Florida, for Thursday, August 16th, 2018, delivering some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo, that's RAYMELO, on Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to the show anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. The Queen of Soul is gone. Aretha Franklin, the sensational songbird whose voice was sweeter than honey to millions, making her an inspirational American icon and one of the most admired vocalists of all time, died Thursday after battling advanced pancreatic cancer. She died surrounded by family and loved ones at her home in Detroit, her publicist said. She was 76. Franklin's family said in a statement through publicist Gwendolyn Quinn, "In one of the darkest moments of our lives, we are not able to find the appropriate words to express the pain in our hearts. We have lost the matriarch and rock of our family. The love she had for her children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and cousins knew no bounds. We have been deeply touched by the incredible outpouring of love and support we have received from close friends, supporters, and fans all around the world. Thank you for your compassion and prayers. We have felt your love for Aretha, and it brings us comfort to know that her legacy will live on as we grieve. We ask that you respect our privacy during this difficult time." Franklin died at 9:50 a.m. local time with the official cause of death due to advanced pancreatic cancer of the neuroendocrine type, confirmed by Franklin's oncologist, Dr. Philip Phillips of the Barbara Ann Karmanos Cancer Institute in Detroit. Born in Memphis, Tennessee, but raised in the Motor City, Franklin was firmly rooted in gospel, but also excelled in the worlds of jazz, R&B, and pop. She collected 20 Grammys, including a Lifetime Achievement Award, covering a span of 4 decades, and was the first woman enshrined into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987. And befitting a queen, she was named number 1 on Rolling Stone's list of the 100 greatest singers of all time. She sold more than 75 million records worldwide, according to one estimate, and had 10 top 10 hits in a roughly 18-month stretch beginning in early 1967. A tireless road warrior, Franklin also sold millions of concert tickets, almost always arriving to shows in her custom bus. She had a fear of flying. Franklin's signature song, the 1967 smash Respect, from her first album for Atlantic Records, became a battle cry for the feminist and civil rights movement. Recorded 2 years earlier by Otis Redding from a man's point of view, her righteous reworking pushed Groovin' by the Young Rascals from the number 1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. Franklin wrote in her 1999 autobiography, Aretha from These Roots, "It was the need of a nation, the need of an average man and woman in the street, the businessman, the mother, the fireman, and the teacher. Everyone wanted respect. It became the respect women expected from men and men expected from women, the inherent right of all human beings." Most of her other musical gems seem to go on forever. The bopping Think, which she memorably performed in the Blues Brothers film, Chain of Fools, Baby I Love You, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, Do Right Woman, Do Right Man, Spanish Harlem, Until You Come Back to Me, That's What I'm Gonna Do, Freeway of Love, and I Knew You Were Waiting for Me, her other number 1 hit, performed with George Michael. Mary J. Blige wrote for Rolling Stone in 2008 about Aretha, "You know, a force from heaven, you know, something that God made, and Aretha is a gift from God. When it comes to expressing yourself through song, there's no one who can touch her. She is the reason why women want to sing." Born on March 25, 1942, Franklin moved to Detroit with her family at the age 4. She sang gospel songs with her sisters Carolyn and Irma in the New Bethel Baptist Church that was built and presided over by her father, the fiery Reverend C.L. Franklin, a renowned gospel vocalist in his own right. Visitors to the church included Mahalia Jackson, Sam Cooke, Jackie Wilson, and Martin Luther King Jr. Known as Reed to those closest to her, Franklin recorded her first album at the age of 14, and shortly after her 18th birthday, she was signed by renowned Columbia Records talent scout John Hammond, who compared her with another singer he had discovered years earlier, Billie Holiday. With Columbia attempting to reposition Franklin as a jazzy pop singer, she enjoyed only modest success through 7 albums. She notched just 1 top 40 single, an update of Al Jolson's Rockabye Your Baby with the Dixie Melody. But make no mistake, she was remarkable. In 1964, Chicago radio DJ Purvis Spahn ceremoniously placed a crown atop her head during a performance at the Chicago Regal Theater and dubbed her the new Queen of Soul. She switched in 1966 to Atlantic, where she shook up the musical world with the soul masterpiece I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, her Atlantic album debut. Produced by the great Jerry Wexler, recorded at the start of Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, this led off with Respect. On the track, Franklin grooves and plays piano as her sisters provided the backing vocals that include the Sock It To Me mantra. Wexler wrote in the liner notes for the album, which also included the title track, the first single of the LP, and Do Right Woman. Every time Aretha began a song, the musicians would shake their heads in wonder. After each take was completed, they would rush from the studio into the control room to hear the playback. Producers, engineers, and musicians alike were entranced by Aretha's purity of tone, her tremendous feeling for inspired variation, and her unparalleled dynamic. The Soulstress won 2 Grammys for the song, on the way to 8 consecutive trophies for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. Franklin in 1967 released Aretha Arrives, which included I Love You, then followed less than a year later with Lady Soul, featuring Chain of Fools, which reached number 2, and the Jerry Goffin and Carole King penned Natural Woman. In June 1968, she became the second African-American woman to ever adorn the cover of Time magazine. The first was tennis star Althea Gibson in 1957. Between 1970 and 1972, Franklin released Spirit in the Dark, This Girl's in Love with You, live at Fillmore West, Young, Gifted, and Black, and Amazing Grace, one of the best-selling pure gospel albums of all time. After recording the soundtrack album Sparkle in 1976, Franklin left Atlantic for Clive Davis's Arista Records, where she explored funk music and a more adult contemporary set. Her 1982 album, Jump to It, produced by Luther Vandross, went gold, and Who's Assuming Who from 1985 contained the hits Freeway of Love and The Spunky Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves with Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics. The title track from 1998's A Rose Is Still a Rose, written by Lauryn Hill, returned and rejuvenated Franklin to the pop charts. In 2011, she released her 40th studio album, A Woman Falling Out of Love, on her own Aretha Records. In 2014, Davis producer Aretha Franklin sings the Great Divas classic for her. Franklin, who was the recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2005, performed My Country 'Tis of Thee at Barack Obama's inauguration in 2009. Franklin underwent surgery in 2010 after a report that said that she had pancreatic cancer. She denied she was stricken then and canceled 6 months of public appearances. Her last show came in September at the Pavilion in Highland Park, Illinois. Her death comes 41 years after Elvis Presley has died. She had 4 sons, one just after she turned 14 and another before she was 17. She had 2 husbands, Ted White, who replaced her father as her manager, and she said abused her, and actor Glenn Turman. Both marriages ended in divorce. Funeral arrangements are forthcoming. Asked what is about music that inspires her, Franklin once said, if it's a song about something I've experienced or that could have happened to me, it's good. But if it's an alien to me, I couldn't lend anything to it, because that's what soul is all about. As news of her passing spread, many took to social media to pay tribute to the singular figure in American culture. We remember since coming from presidents to lay people alike, from celebrities. President Trump offered condolences to the family of the person I knew. She worked for me on numerous occasions. She was terrific, he said in a cabinet meeting Thursday. She said that Aretha brought joy to millions of lives, and an extraordinary legacy will thrive and inspire many generations to come. She was given a great gift from God, her voice, and she used it well. People loved Aretha. She was a special woman. Former President Barack Obama tweeted a series of photos showing Franklin during pinnacle moments of his presidency, including his 2009 inauguration. He wrote, Aretha helped define the American experience. In her voice, we could feel our history, all of it, and in every shade, our power and our pain, our darkness and our light, our quest for redemption, and our hard-won respect. The outpouring continued Thursday as figures such as Hillary Clinton, musicians Carole King, and Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda simply tweeted about how much she meant to them. Clinton tweeted, mourning the loss today of Aretha Franklin, who shared her spirit and talent with the world. She deserved not only our respect, but also our lasting gratitude for opening our eyes, ears, and hearts. Rest in peace, my friend. Carole King wrote, what a legacy, so much love, respect, and gratitude. Diana Ross wrote, I'm sitting in prayer for the wonderful golden spirit of Aretha Franklin. Smokey Robinson wrote this morning, my longest friend in this world went home to be with our father. I will miss her so much, but I know that she's at peace. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote, lucky enough to have seen Aretha live exactly once, and that was it. Thank you for the music. We'll be listening to you forever. John Legend wrote, salute to the Queen, the greatest vocalist I've ever known. Nas Lawford, the guitarist for the Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, wrote, love and thanks at Aretha Franklin. Your voice, soul, and musicianship inspired and lifted us always. Pure light and hope like no other. God bless you. Deep thanks and gratitude for sharing all your gifts with the world forever now. Rest in peace, Niles and Amy. Ryan Seacrest wrote, an American Idol fam had the great privilege of working with the iconic Aretha Franklin for a special episode in Detroit. The world will miss her as she's left an indelible mark in our culture. Her artistry and music will move and inspire us forever. Rest in peace to the Lady of Soul. Valerie Jarrett wrote, Aretha Franklin was an incredible gift to the world. Her magic, musical, and spirit will stay with us always, as well as with generations to come. Liam Gallagher wrote, rest in peace, Aretha Franklin, what a voice. Andy Cohen wrote, there will never be another Queen of Soul. Aretha Franklin is the embodiment of a soul blessed with a special gift. Grateful we have decades of recordings that will live on. Long live the Queen. Tim Cook, the president of Apple Computers, wrote, we mourn the passing of Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. Her voice will keep lifting us through the music she gave the world. Our thoughts are with her family, her loved ones, and fans everywhere. Take her hand, precious Lord. Knife Wonder wrote, all of us stood on her shoulders. You were the genesis of it all, the genesis of the word soul. Comedian Dennis Leary wrote, I once saw Aretha walk on stage, put her coat and purse on top of the piano, move the microphone, stand aside, and fill the arena with just the sound of her amazing, unamplified voice and a full orchestra. Greatest of all time. Alexander O'Neill wrote, today we so sadly lost a true legend, an icon, and inspiration. Aretha Franklin broke ground and created a path the rest of us walked down. Al Roker wrote, a mixture of profound sadness with immense joy on the passing of Aretha Sings, the hashtag Queen of Soul, sadness for the silence of one of the most moving and influential voices of the 21st century, joy for having been blessed to know her. Rocker Bob Seger wrote, what an utterly worldly talent, legend, right up there with the greatest singers ever. She will be greatly missed, irreplaceable. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame paid tribute with a note on its website, the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Aretha Franklin was an artist of passion, sophistication, and command, whose recordings remain anthems that define soul music. Long live the Queen. And the Recording Academy offered similar words by saying Aretha Franklin was an incomparable artist who came to be recognized as one of the most profound voices in music. Her distinctive sound, unforgettable recordings, and giving spirit will continue to be celebrated worldwide. Aretha will be dearly missed, and our thoughts go out to her loved ones during this difficult time. Clive Davis released a statement. I'm absolutely devastated by Aretha's passing. She was truly one of a kind. She was more than the Queen of Soul. She was a national treasure to be cherished by every generation throughout the world. Apart from our long professional relationship, Aretha was my friend. Her loss is deeply profound, and my heart is full of sadness. Music Business Association President James Dunio said in a statement that he recalled the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be in the audience at the 1998 Grammy Awards at Radio City Music Hall in New York, when Aretha surprised everyone when she came on stage in place of Luciano Pavarotti, who had been taken ill and could not perform. Aretha then proceeded to completely take the audience's collective breath away as he majestically delivered her own unique rendition of Nissan Dorma. People are still talking about that moment 20 years later. NAACP Chairman Leon W. Russell in his statement says, we remember Aretha for the joy and love she brought into our lives and society via her powerful voice. No one can discuss the civil rights movement nor music without paying respect to the Queen of Soul. We'll miss her dearly. NAACP President CEO Derek Johnson added, what would our struggle or American society be without the music of Aretha? Her unmitigated blackness and contributions to art and national progress places her on the Mount Everest of American icons who changed this society for the better. As a persona, she was the Queen of Soul who galvanized people under the anthem of respect and a string of other classics, but much of her life can be best described less as a battle to earn respect, of which Franklin had plenty of by the end of the 60s, and more of a battle for control, which was a Cold War spanning her entire career. Once she achieved a certain level of success, things happened on Franklin's terms. For example, even late into her career, she was known for personally collecting cash after shows, which was a habit ingrained in her since childhood as a way to make sure she was getting paid from stage show promoters. She also did not fly on airplanes, which made international tours impossible and touring in generally extremely difficult. She would often cancel shows for a variety of reasons, leaving fans and industry folks frustrated. Franklin always seemed to be in control or struggling to snatch it back. She was not a bootstrapping success story. Instead, she came from a place of financial privilege, but a home life. Gospel was her DNA. Both parents were particularly talented gospel singers, and music was deeply ingrained in her from the get-go. Gospel gave her the technical foundation, the millisemas, the range, the depth, as well as the stirring universal themes of liberation, empowerment, struggle, and love that filled her greatest hits. She smoothly sieged from gospel to soul, and she'll probably always be associated the most with these two genres by the collective hive mind. Yet Franklin gave us way, way more. Her work spanned the diaspora of black music, but went beyond that to cover most mainstream genres of American music: R&B, pop, soul, jazz, disco, and even the lily-white world of opera. Her CV is daunting, bordering on ridiculously so. Her records sold millions, and they were sampled ad nauseum by hip-hop and house producers. She inspired imposters and several generations of vocalists. There are many Franklin records you will hear today and in the coming weeks, and most of them are fantastic. But there is one artifact from Franklin's life that perhaps distills who she is, and that is her mythic 1972 performance at the New Temple Missionary Baptist Church in the Watts neighborhood of South Los Angeles. The motivation behind this performance, memorialized in the album Amazing Grace, was a return for her gospel roots after becoming an international superstar. Maybe she was trying to convince her fans that she hadn't forgotten where she came from, namely the black church circuit. Maybe she was trying to convince herself. The years leading up to this performance, Franklin had become increasingly public in her politics as she charted number one hit after hit. She knew Martin Luther King Jr. through her father and was helping soundtrack the civil rights movement. She famously offered to bail black communist icon Angela Davis out of prison. As famous and powerful as she became as a voice, she seemed determined to remain grounded in her community, and her concert in Watts felt like Franklin at her most dramatic and purposeful. That was her homecoming. The Amazing Grace album quickly became the best-selling gospel album of all time. The double LP features a slate of gospel classics, and even her father, C.L. Franklin, is giving a stirring mini-sermon. The first record ends with a nearly 11-minute rendition of the eponymous song, which itself is worth the price of admission. This performance captured an icon at the absolute height of her powers, playing in a space, both literal and imaginary, that she absolutely owns. It's absolutely one of those records you must hear before you die. Sidney Pollack and his crew shot a performance with which they plan to edit into a feature documentary. Sinking issues created a technical mess, leaving the project abandoned for years. Producer Alan Elliott acquired the footage from Pollack a decade ago with the goal of trying to get this film a proper release after it had been mythologized for what it's now nearly half a century. But Franklin sued, determining to stop the performance from seeing the light of day. It may never be entirely clearly why. The album was a smash, perhaps the defining document of her life and career if you had to choose one. After being granted an injunction that stopped the film from being screened at the 2015 Telluride Film Festival, she released a statement that said, in part, justice, respect, and what is right prevailed, and one's right to own their self-image. This resistance to the film's release has frustrated fans and fellow musicians alike for years and ages, but through this frustration, you get a sense of the power and weight she slung. Franklin was never afraid to risk being personally unpopular by sticking to her guns, whether you like it or not. She was proudly and defiantly herself, and this performance and the bizarre legal intervention surrounding the film epitomized that. Even though she's gone now, her voice cuts through time and will give and keep giving chills long past her death. Her recordings will bellow through human history, however long or short that will be. And here are the top 10 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 sales charts for the week of August 18th. Number 10, LMI with Boot Up. Number 9, Tigger Offset with Taste. Number 8, Travis Scott with Stargazing. Number 7, Juice WRLD with Lucid Dreams. Number 6, Post Malone with Better Now. Number 5, 6ix9ine featuring Nicki Minaj with Fifi. Number 4, Travis Scott with Sicko Mode. Number 3, Cardi B, Bad Bunny, and J Balvin with I Like It. Number 2, Maroon 5 featuring Cardi B with Girls Like You. And the number 1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 single charts for the week of August 18th, Drake with In My Feelings. And now let's take a look at what happened on this date in entertainment history. On this date in 1958, Madonna Louise Cioni, the entertainment icon later known around the world by her first name only, is born in Detroit, Michigan. After rising to stardom as a pop singer and dancer in the 1980s, Madonna added acting to her resume with roles in such films as Desperately Seeking Susan, Dick Tracy, A League of Their Own, and Evita. Provocative performer who often tackled sexual and religious themes in her work, also became famous for her ever-changing hairstyle and fashion sense, as well as her personal life, which remains an ongoing social source of fascination to the tabloid media. Madonna was raised in a Catholic family in the suburbs of Detroit. After dropping out of University of Michigan in 1978, the future Material Girl moved to New York City to become a dancer. She burst onto the music scene in 1982 with her dance single Everybody, which was followed by her self-titled debut album in 1983. She performed the title track of her second album, Like a Virgin, at the first MTV Video Music Awards in 1984, wearing her trademark boy toy belt. Like a Virgin, Madonna's first album to reach the number 1 spot on the music charts, was followed by True Blue in 1986 and Like a Prayer in 1989. Both of which also reached the top of the charts and helped her establish as one of the best-selling artists of the 1980s. Other albums have included Bedtime Stories, 1994, Ray of Light, 1998, Music, 2000, American Life, 2003, Confessions of a Dance Floor, 2005, and Hard Candy, 2008. In March 2008, the chameleonic hitmaker was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Madonna made her acting debut in Desperately Seeking Susan in 1985, which was followed by Shanghai Surprise in 1986, co-starring her first husband, Sean Penn, and Who's That Girl in 1987. In Dick Tracy 1990, Madonna acted opposite Warren Beatty, with whom she became romantically involved during filming. In 1991, she starred in Madonna Truth or Dare, a behind-the-scenes documentary of her Blonde Ambition tour. In 1992, Madonna caused a scandal with her erotica album, as well as in a controversial adult-themed book and of photos titled Sex. Also that year, she appeared on the big screen in A League of Their Own, a well-received movie about an all-female baseball league co-starring Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, and Rosie O'Donnell. In 1996, Madonna took on her most ambitious role yet, playing Eva Perón, the celebrated former First Lady of Argentina, in the film adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical Evita. She received the Golden Globe for Best Actress for the performance. In 2000, Madonna appeared in the critically derided The Next Best Thing, playing a woman who has a child with her gay best friend, played by Rupert Everett. In 2002, she starred in another bomb, Swept Away, directed by her second husband, Guy Ritchie, who's directed Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch. In addition to her acting credits, Madonna's music has been included on numerous soundtracks, including Die Another Day, 2002, and Get Smart, 2008. World debut in 2008 with the film titled Filth and Wisdom. Also in 1977, Elvis Presley dies. The death of the King of Rock and Roll brought legions of mourning fans to Graceland, his mansion in Memphis. Doctors said he died of a heart attack, but likely brought on by his addiction to prescription barbiturates. Presley was born in Tupelo, Mississippi on January 8, 1935. His twin brother Jesse died during the birth. Elvis grew up in dirt poor Tupelo and Memphis, and found work as a truck driver after high school. When he was 19, he walked into a Memphis recording studio and paid $4 to record a few songs as a present to his mother. Sam Phillips, the owner of the studio, was intrigued by the rough, soulful quality of his voice and invited Presley back to practice with some local musicians. After Phillips heard Elvis sing the rhythm and blues song That's All Right, which Presley imbued with an access of country western flavor, he agreed to release the rendition as a single on his Sun Records label. The recording went to the top of the local charts, and Presley's career was launched. During the next year, Elvis attracted a growing following in the South, and in 1955, Sun Records sold his contract to a major record company label, the Radio Corporation of America, RCA, for a record $40,000. His first record with RCA was Heartbreak Hotel, which made him a national sensation in early 1956. He followed up with the double-sided hit record Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel in September 1956. Elvis appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, a nationally variety television show, and teenagers went into hysterics over his dynamic stage presence, good looks, and simply but catchy songs. Many parents, however, were appalled by his sexually suggested pelvic gyrations, and by his third appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, Elvis was filmed only from the waist down. From 1956 to 1958, Elvis dominated the music charts and ushered in the age of rock and roll, opening doors for both white and black rock artists. During this period, he has starred in 4 successful motion pictures, all of which featured his soundtracks: Love Me Tender, 1956, Jailhouse Rock, 1957, Loving You, 1957, and King Creole, 1958. In 1958, Presley was drafted into the U.S. Army and served an 18-month tour of duty in West Germany as a jeep driver. Teenage girls were overcome with grief, but Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, kept America Youth sedated with the stockpile of recordings that Presley made before his departure. All 5 singles released during this period eventually became million sellers. After being discharged as a sergeant in 1960, Elvis underwent a style change, eschewing edgy rhythm and blues-inspired material in favor of romantic, dramatic ballads such as Are You Lonesome Tonight? He retired from concerts to concentrate on his musical films, and he made 27 in the 1960s, including G.I. Bill's 1960, Blue Hawaii 1961, Girls, Girls, Girl 1962, Viva Las Vegas 1964, and Frankie and Johnny 1966. 1967, he married Priscilla Buelow, and the couple had a daughter, Lisa Marie, in 1968. By the end of the 1960s, rock and roll had undergone dramatic changes, and Elvis was no longer seen as relevant by American youth. 1968 television special won back many of his fans. The hits were still hard to come by. His final top 10 entry, Burning Love, was in 1972. Still, he maintained his sizable fortune through lucrative concert and television appearances. By the 1970s, Elvis was in declining physical and mental health, and he divorced his wife in 1973 and developed a dangerous dependence on prescription drugs. He was also addicted to junk food and gained considerable weight. The last 2 years of his life, he made erratic stage appearances and lived nearly as a recluse. The afternoon of August 16, 1977, he was found unconscious in his Graceland mansion and rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. He was buried on the grounds of Graceland, which continues to attract fans and has been turned into a hugely successful tourist attraction. That is your entertainment report for Thursday, August 16th, 2018. I'm your host, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo. I'll be back tomorrow to deliver some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO. On Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to this episode or any previous episodes of The Entertainment Report anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Good night, and God bless you all.